Welcome to the WDW News Today podcast. My name is Eric Morton. With me is Tom Corliss.
Hello.
How's everybody doing today? We are all tired because we spent the weekend at Tampa Bay Comic Con, and it was a lot. What did you think?
It was a long weekend.
What did you think? It was our first Comic Con it was my first Comic Con I've ever been to. I don't know if you've been to one before.
I've been to a handful.
I haven't been to I think Tampa Bay, I feel like it was as packed as that convention center can be. But from what I'm hearing, this is nothing compared to a lot of the other bigger, like Dragon Con, New York Comic Con, obviously San Diego. There are a lot bigger ones out there. But this was, I don't think they could have fit many more people in there. I mean, it was clearly a lot going on. Millions of you stopped by our booth to say hello.
Millions.
Maybe not millions.
How do we have leftover magnets then?
Yeah, you want to talk about the magnets? We gave away magnets at Comic-Con all weekend. Yes. We had a different magnet each day. So Friday, show them in order. Friday, no, that wasn't Fridays.
I didn't know. I was just showing them.
Yeah, there we go. Friday was a dinosaur.
Katie has to switch the camera probably.
Okay.
Carnotaur from Dinosaur.
Saturday then was the Intergalactic Lounge Singer. We gave these out for free, like I said. And finally, we ended with Gertie on Sunday. But we do have some left. We gave them away for free as a Comic-Con exclusive, but now there's a lot of demand. People are asking us to if we would sell them and ship them.
Yes.
And now you can find, are they listed now on Carousel of Products?
CarouselofProducts.com. They're $8 each or 3 for $20.
There you go. We also, today, are launching the sale of a new shirt. This is the I Counted Down to Extinction t-shirt. Also available at carouselofproducts.com.
Charlie did the art for these magnets and this shirt, and he did a wonderful job.
It looks great.
It's very nice. Yes, there's also some recognizable faces in that car, in the Time Rover, but either way. The Carnotaur, I Counted Down to Extinction, and on the back, I love what we did with the back. There's the famous text from the load area, the Sector CTX, which stands for Countdown to Extinction, WDI for Walt Disney Imagineering, and then the AK-98, which is the opening year of the park. We added a -26, so you have the 98 to 26, the year it opened, and the year it closed. These are $30 because we had to rush order them. They're a little more expensive than our shirts have been in the past because we wanted to make sure people had them to bring to the park to say goodbye.
It cost us more, so we passed the savings on to you.
Wow, thanks, Eric.
It did cost us more. We had to
How
rush
does
them.
business work?
Right. But the real showstopper of the weekend was the inflatable Gertie the Dinosaur.
8 feet tall.
We cannot fit her in this room.
Yeah.
If we did, we would have to leave. And it is selling like hotcakes. I think a
podcast with her just sitting here for an hour would do as well as you and I talking, probably.
I think I'm biased. I think it's our best product we've ever launched. I'm very excited for it. And the sales are showing that everyone else is excited too. It is on pre-order. And they will, we get these pre-orders wrapped up and we'll ship them out to you before Christmas. Don't worry.
Yeah, sometime we think slightly after Thanksgiving, but before, sometime in early December. Very early December is the belief. So
I think so. If you're at Fort Wilderness, maybe this would be a great little addition to your campsite. If you put it in your yard, put it in your living room.
You can go inside.
It can go anywhere.
It can go inside.
Yeah, but it comes with it self-inflates. It has its own fan. It has lights on the inside. It has the tie downs if you want to stake it down in your yard so that Gertie doesn't fly away. I mean it's a no-brainer. Everybody needs this.
Yes, I agree. I think it's the best thing we've ever done. I mean, I literally came up from one of the presentations downstairs and the sample had arrived and you guys tied it to the top of the booth and I could see it from entering the convention center. And I got teary-eyed because I saw it and it was so cute. It looks way better than the sample photos they sent us.
I think
I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw it in person. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing we've ever done.
It's stunning in person.
Yeah, I can't wait. All I want in this world is to drive around Fort Wilderness and Celebration and just see them every 5 feet. That'll bring me so much joy.
That'd be great.
It's very cool. And again, we've ordered 1,000. We can't really change the order now without delaying it. So, and we don't want to sit on a bunch of them till the next year because obviously people don't really buy Christmas decorations from January to like the summer. We'd have to store them. Not that they're big. The box is actually pretty compact.
What was it? It was like 8 by 6 by 13 or something like. It's not that big.
It's a real small
Shoebox
box.
size
Yeah,
box,
I'd say smaller than a shoebox actually.
Yeah.
But I have size 15 feet, so that may not mean anything to anyone. My shoeboxes you could, sail the Atlantic in. I think the Tusens one time built cars out of them. It's like I bought 2 pairs of shoes here, Tusens, and that's what they drive to work every day. But you could picture the Tusens in a shoebox, right? Like just driving a shoebox. They just look at the proper scale. They're in the world of Richard Scarry. What was that? What was that called? The busy world of Richard Scarry with the worm in the car. I see the Tusens. The Tusens were the only humans allowed in that series, I believe. It's like Pig Boy and Worm Man and Billy and Katie were all in the busy world of Richard Scarry. I know, I see it right now. The magnets are amazing. Charlie killed it. They look like they'd be real Disney World pass holder magnets, but they're of characters you and I actually like. So, not Crush from Finding Nemo, dude. Yeah, dude. This is a cooler magnet. Sorry, Animal Kingdom. These are all cooler. These are amazing. We might do more. Not of these. Like these, when they're sold out, they're sold out.
We don't make you wait in line.
We might do more parody magnets since people love these so much. I think they're going to be a thing we keep doing.
We sold a ton of Gerties this weekend. We got more. Please get them while they're hot.
But
we
again,
probably would have sold more. Our booth was kind of blocked all weekend. Our booth was next to a prolific screenwriter.
Todd, why am I blanking on the last
name?
Todd
Langen?
He
He wrote the first 2 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle screenplays.
Yeah.
And he had a line and he was giving everything out for, I think someone said it was his
free.
last Comic-Con.
Everything was free, and it was his last Comic-Con he's doing ever.
Right. A lot of the celebrities charge
but
you
the
$100
nicest man. Like, just spent time with everybody. And I ended up having a moment with him. He came, like, he was meeting people. He took a moment. He came over to, like, we have, like, I wouldn't say barrier. There's a metal rod that has a curtain that's between booths at a convention. And he comes over at one point, takes a sip of water. He comes over. He goes, "Oh, I know who you are." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, when we moved here, I got annual passes. We went to Disney, and so we watched you all the time." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I said, "I'm a fan of your work." And he goes, "What?" And I'm like, he's like saying, "What?" Like, he can't believe it. I was like, "You wrote 2 movies that millions of people have seen. Like, are you surprised that people have seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie? It is a legendary classic, film." But that was a cool moment for him to be like, "I know who you are." And I was like, "Well, thank you for what you did." And he's like, "What, me?" It's like, "Yes, you."
We also had 2 Imagineers present in our booth, signing autographs, taking pictures. We had Paul Osterhout and Jason Sorrell. They were wonderful all weekend, and those of you that came by to see them, I'm sure that you enjoyed hearing their stories. And you also did 4
I was in 4 panels on Saturday.
You did Linda Larkin.
So I hosted a conversation with Linda Larkin at 11 a.m. That's the voice of Jasmine in Aladdin, which was really fun.
They changed the time of that panel 4 times.
That changed more times than the plans for the center of Epcot. But many times it ended up being really cool. It was nice to meet her, and it was fun. There were some very cute little fans that came, some children. Little princesses that came and asked questions, and my heart melted. It was very, very cute. That was really neat. Then 2:00 we did one with Paul and Jason presented about Easter eggs and hidden Mickeys and all the little hidden things that get put into a theme park land or attraction. Then you and I, Chris Provost, Provost Park Pass, I'm sure people know. He was our moderator, and it was him and you and I were the YouTube super panel, the 3 of us representing all of Disney Parks YouTube.
And it has nothing to do with other guests falling through. I'm sure I was at the top of their list all along. I think that panel was great. I was really worried about attendance, and actually there was a good crowd and people eager to line up and ask us questions. It went by very fast.
It was neat, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're 15 minutes. They're pretty short. Compared to at least what we do here, I mean, we can't keep a show of any kind under 50 minutes because I can't shut up. But Then to end the evening, there was another presentation from Paul and Jason, both of which were fantastic. It was a really fun time. I love that we got to meet so many people at the booth. It was cool to just meet people and so many people that haven't had a chance to come to the studio yet. But obviously, we want everybody to come to the studio. I don't have details today, but I want to put this out there. If you're coming to Orlando for Destination D23, which is not far away, it's towards the end of the month this month, the day after the event, which is that's Labor Day, right? Is the Monday the 1st? Yeah. On Labor Day, Monday, September 1st, we are going to officially reopen our museum. There are several new exhibits and attractions to come see, including, I will tell you, if you're a big fan of Muppet Vision 3D, there is some crazy stuff that's on loan from our good friend Paul Osterhout. And then also just some new props, and we changed a lot of the first room, new signs, new exhibits, a lot of new things to see that day. Also that day, we're going to film News Today with a live studio audience. And we're also that evening going to have a special presentation, which I do not have details on yet. But we're calling the event, because it's Destination D23. That's the destination. We are the detour. So Detour WDWNT is the name of our event. And it's a one-day event, and we hope you'll join us for some or all of what we have in store on September 1st. But save the date. By next week, we should have details.
We should have called it Final Destination. A lot of multiple meanings. Right, before we jump into
I can only hope at this point.
I want your one-paragraph book report review of our dinner at Burns Steakhouse, just for the audience, because we talked about it a little bit. And we went.
So 5 sentences.
I don't know, however many sentences you want, but we don't need to get in too much in depth. But
I'll go quick, less than a minute. Every time the word Tampa is uttered in this office, Eric Morton immediately brings up a place called Burns Steakhouse. And he talks about, it's you got to see it. It's unbelievable. There's a separate room for dessert, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay. And so we were going to Tampa Bay Comic Convention. It's me and Jason and Eric and my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend, Rosanna. And we enter. First of all, it's a warehouse. You pull up and it's a warehouse, but with a beautiful porte-cochere added onto the front of said warehouse. So imagine a meat packing facility, but with like the Riviera Resorts porte-cochere attached to it. And so you pull up and there's valet at this meat packing facility. And then you enter and it is like, it looks like the Haunted Mansion if it was well lit, which would be the Tokyo version. It looks like 70s, I don't know, like 1960s, 70s perceived old world opulence.
Yep.
It's insane. But then the lounge was modern because they just remodeled, right? The lounge part. There was a lounge that didn't have room for us, so we stood in awkwardly for 15 minutes. And then we waited. And then all the dining rooms are very different.
Yes.
One dining room is purely a giant backlit montage of Tampa.
No, they're like vineyards, aren't they?
Is it a vineyard? Or something? It's so faded, I couldn't tell. Maybe it was. All I saw was a river and green, but it was all completely faded out. It was destroyed. The room we ate in looked like 1910s like cruise ship elevator lobby. I don't know, like it was.
Did you see the room with all the marble busts?
No.
Oh, there's a room that's just marble busts.
It's like eating in, like if the Haunted Mansion and an 80s mall collided. I don't know. It's just weird. So on top of this, not only we had dinner. Rosanna's vegan entrees were great. Our steaks were very good. Food was the best French onion soup I've ever had in my entire life. Yep. Life-changing French onion soup. I would go back just for that purely. But at the end of the meal, they're like, oh, well, you want to do the tour and dessert. So this is a large warehouse restaurant. Apparently it was like a co-op, and they were one of the tenants, and slowly other tenants went out of business.
It's like a strip mall in the 50s or something.
Yeah, and other tenants went out of business, and they just kept buying additional space. And so, but it's huge. I don't know how many, it seats how many, a couple hundred people.
350?
Three or four. And so on top of that, they're like, well, then you could do a tour and then you go to the dessert room. And the tour, you're going through, this kitchen is giant. The kitchen's bigger than the restaurant, it turns out. And there's probably 50 to 75 employees working in this kitchen. And they're touring at least 50 guests at a time through different parts of this active kitchen. Like, we're an inch from, like, the meat that's just sitting there. It's like, is this hygienic? I don't know. But we go on a 15-minute tour when they're like, do you want to see the wine cellar? Of course we want to see the wine cellar. They apparently are the owners of what is believed to be the world's largest private collection of wine.
Definitely the biggest restaurant collection of wine.
They can store 150,000 bottles in the building. But that's not enough. They have a separate storage facility, a non-restaurant warehouse, somewhere beyond the premises where how many bottles can reside?
They said 700,000 additional bottles of wine.
For what? Who knows? This man's dead. He can't collect anymore. This is going to be me when I'm gone. You'll all still be figuring out all my shit.
Tom's pins.
Anyways, we have 100,000 pins in the facility, and there's another 700,000 at a warehouse in Apopka. Either way, so you're touring. There's just wine. It's above you. It's around you. It's everywhere. Just wine bottles everywhere. They had a giant bottle of wine that they're saving until 2062.
That's true.
They won't serve it for 50 years, they said. It came with a giant crystal bottle to serve it in a decanter. So you're supposed to put the whole giant wine bottle in this giant crystal decanter and then pour it like this into the cups. I don't even know how much you're going to sell that wine for. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, I assume. And then we're not even at the craziest part. The craziest part is there's an 80s mall elevator or the staircase of somehow a 2-story Pizza Hut that goes up
made out
to
of wine barrel pizza.
Yeah, I don't even know. It just felt like Pizza Hut for some reason, like 80s Pizza Hut. That goes to the top floor is where dessert is. You eat dessert in a wine barrel. The rooms are wine barrels. Like, they're amazing. They're stupendous, but they're wine barrels. And dessert was unbelievable. That was my favorite part of the whole thing. On top of that, there's a piano player, but you are in a barrel. So you can't hear the piano player if you're in the barrel. So you know what they've done? They piped the music in. But you might ask, how would one make a request of the piano player while seated in a barrel? Well, don't worry. There's a phone in the booth. The phone's not themed. Everything is mahogany and beautiful. Then just picture the most plain beige phone, like plastic 80s phone with a wire, and it's on the wall for you to call the piano player whenever you'd like. Just give him a ring while you eat your chocolate cheese pie.
I'm crying.
I don't know what else to say. Also, Jason ordered an ice wine.
That's the best part.
Jason ordered an ice wine at the dessert barrel. And remember I told you there's 100,000 bottles in the building? Jason found the one that was missing. They couldn't locate the one ice wine he wanted.
We're out of that.
At that point, I feel like their policy should be, if we can't find the wine, it's free. That's what I think it should be, but I cannot recommend Burns enough. It was a very good meal and an excellent life-changing experience. And I have somehow undersold it with that description. I am missing 14 quirky, psychotic events of the evening, undoubtedly.
The whole thing with the ties.
The ties are levels of employment. You have to pass a 10-hour oral exam to move up to the next tie. We're starting that here, by the way.
The reporters have a different colored ring on their T-shirt.
Man.
Oh, boy.
I loved it. I would go back. I love it. I want to stay. You said they have a hotel.
Yeah, it's called the Epicurean. It's across the street. And it's on the autograph collection. You can book it through Marriott.
If that hotel experience is anything like the restaurant, it's a vacation onto itself.
Yeah, I've never stayed there. They used to have a restaurant there called Sideburns that was like a block away. Now they have another restaurant that's like a block away. I don't remember what it's
I
called.
want to clarify again. It's Burns Steakhouse. They had a restaurant on the side called Sideburns. These are my favorite people on earth. Sideburn. What was that Sideburns?
It was more casual. It was.
Okay.
I remember. I think I got like a steak sandwich for lunch there or something like that. Like it was still like elevated. It was not.
I thought it was just going to be side dishes, which would be in character for them. Like
But
they'd
I
just
swear
be
they
the
have another
weirdest thing
restaurant. I don't know what it's
imaginable.
called. Plus whatever they have in the Epicurean Hotel. So yeah, it was a wild experience.
Well, we will be back.
Look, and I know. Obviously, we always ramble at the beginning of this podcast. Apologize to the people that always. The same two people that always complain
They're
about it.
gone.
But we're trying to do snacks. We skipped the snack last time, and Lori went to a new Brazilian bakery down the street for some Brazilian treats.
There's one down the street?
Yeah, just opened up.
It's like Point
Where is it?
Celebration Point, right?
Oh, in the mall.
Okay, so this place is called Kitanda.
That's a character from Mortal Kombat.
I don't know what this is. Are these? Do you want to tell us which ones are? She's going to tell us after we eat which ones are
Are they
savory and
different?
sweet. They're both savory. Okay.
Oh, it's a different thing. So you do that.
Okay.
What is that one? Oh, should I try this one in the meantime also?
No, do it.
Well, this is the
It's like
sweet one, right? No.
it's like a hush puppy with a filling.
Oh, damn.
Oh, good.
Well, you got a new lunch place.
These aren't even hot. These are probably supposed to be served hot.
Yeah.
They've been sitting here for.
Why
2
is there
hours.
tuna salad in this ball? I just ate?
It's not tuna salad, is it?
It's chicken.
It's chicken. Okay.
Yeah.
Chicken salad.
With like a cheese. Like it's a Brazilian cheese.
If a hush puppy had some like chicken and cheese inside, I think that's what this was.
Coxinha.
Coxinha? How do you spell it?
Coxina.
That's nice.
Oh,
We won't be repeating that.
I know what this is. This is Epcot Festival.
This is pau de queijo, no?
Is that the proper pronunciation? Pau de
Pão de
queijo?
queijo, yeah, that's
Pau de
right.
queijo.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
man.
We're in trouble now.
It's cheesy bread.
There you go.
Oh, this is good. It's light and fluffy and somehow like thick and cheesy at the same time.
Do you know how to make it?
I do.
You should
All right.
never, Lori should have never admitted she knows how to make that.
All right, next up, these are sweet.
Yes.
Sonho de valsa?
Sonho
Sueño
de valsa.
de valsa. Okay.
Oh, by the fine people at Mondelez. Excellently known for their human rights violations.
Oh, wow.
Oh, what is that?
It's crunchy on the outside, but soft in the middle.
What is this made out of?
What is it?
I think it's like a nougat of sorts.
Nougat?
in the middle, yeah.
Oh. 6, 7, 6.
This is not a 7?
It could be. Maybe a 7. It's close. This is out of 7, by the way. That's the highest rating. I can't give everything a 7.
What'd you give us? You gave a 6 to the chicken ball, right?
Yes, the
I
chicken
agree.
ball was a 6. The
7 for the powder.
the queso, the pauja queso.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm really bad at Brazil.
Our white version will be
yeah.
fine.
Well, I speak a little bit of Spanish, but like Portuguese just has a little bit different. I don't know. All right, finally, Guanara.
I didn't know
Antarctica.
we were. I just drank Diet Coke. I didn't know we
Well,
were
no,
watching
this is
it down.
Guanara, Antarctica, and it appears to be cherry flavored.
No, it's a berry.
It's a
That's a berry. Doesn't it look like cherries?
That's what the guarana looks like.
The what?
Guarana.
Guarana is
Guanana?
the name of the berry.
It's the name of the berry.
I thought it was a brand.
The
Okay.
guanana berry. Guanana.
And is the water from Antarctica? Is that why we have the Antarctica on there?
That's the brand name.
Cheers.
I love that.
Delicious.
A lot of energy drinks have guarana in it.
145 calories. It's the Brazilian original.
This tastes like berry ginger ale.
You're right.
Where does the Antarctica come from? I don't understand.
It's just the brand.
Maybe they take
That's
off
'cause
the
they're
coast and they go
cold.
south a ways.
Because
go to
they're cold
Antarctica,
beverages.
Well, wonderful, Lori. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Do we make her take it away because
I can.
we'll weigh 400 pounds by the time this podcast? Nope.
I'll be good. Enjoy.
She's going to leave it. Thanks,
Just
Lori.
have another one. Just do it.
I'll do one more. It's your fault. It's your fault. I tried to.
If you go see Naked Gun, there's a very similar thing that happens in that movie regarding food. I won't spoil it, but if you see it, you'll get it. Someone asked where you got your C shirt from. Is it Etsy or something?
Yeah, online somewhere. I didn't get it at Disney. I got it.
It's just you didn't make it.
They
They
should.
never made it. They should. They don't. Man, those are good. More guanana.
All right.
Do we have a topic for the show
Yeah.
other than food?
So we spent the weekend with a couple of Imagineers, and I'm really always inspired by them. I feel like not only are they, accomplished people who have done cool things, but they really have a lot of insight into, like Paul Osterhout. If you go to Paul Osterhout Creative on TikTok, he's making things to talk about the creative process and inspiration and where that comes from.
Yeah.
All this stuff. And we were thinking, people go crazy for Imagineers. And there's a lot of famous ones. There are a lot that are behind the scenes that probably have accomplished just as much as some of the famous ones.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of want to see what would a Mount Rushmore of Disney Imagineers look like. I guess that means we have to pick a top 4.
Are we working together?
I don't know. I think so.
We can, or
Wanna
we can have
narrow
our
it
own.
down?
It's up to you.
This will inevitably be poisoned by, I think we have this reverence you've had your whole life for some of the originals that worked with directly with Walt Disney. They're held in sort of a different light than all the others because what they did was created an industry that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Right? These people that created Disneyland were creating something that didn't exist. The level of impact that they had on the world is probably greater than most could have, no matter what they could do now, only because this is a new thing. So we've been hearing their names for a long time. It probably makes them a bigger deal to us. So there's probably some bias towards the old school, like first generation Imagineers, I would guess.
I mean, I have a lot of bias, not only to first, but the second generation
Right.
too, which I think will be apparent here. But I don't know that anyone from the third generation has really stepped out in a way that we would today put them.
I think
On
people
this
have to
Mount
realize
Rushmore.
there are thousands of Imagineers. WDI
Yeah.
is a large organization.
Yeah.
And what you see aren't necessarily, not to denigrate them, what you often see is not necessarily who the best ones are. It's the people that have the best ability in front of a camera to
Yeah.
describe their vision. And in some cases, people have risen to like a director, project lead position. But sometimes I think people get forgotten about because, or overlooked because, look, that whole Hollywood Studios crew, the whole MGM team, they were known for being sort of the Imagineers that kept their heads down and worked. They weren't much for the cameras and the, sort of glitz and glamour.
And the
which is
Tony
sort of
Baxter side is kind of the way it's been described to me. There are two sides of Imagineering at that point in time. There's the Bob Weiss side, which is people that worked on Disney MGM Studios, et cetera. Then there's really the Tony Baxter side, which is the group that worked on Disneyland Paris and several subsequent projects with him. And those are kind of the two camps. And then somewhere in between, eventually the Joe Rohde group forms in there as Animal Kingdom starts to become a thing. But really, so many Imagineers get grouped into a park is a large project. So typically, people get grouped into a park project, like that's a big group, and then they become close because that takes many, many years to concept the whole park and to bring it to fruition. And so it's hard to shed that, right? I mean, Joe, the people that worked with Joe on Animal Kingdom are still grouped with him pretty much, still to this day, like they're associated with him. And same thing with whoever Bob Weiss had on his team, essentially.
Well, I think Joe also, you have to look, like Joe's an artist, right? Some of the biggest Imagineers are more either, they're writers or they are They're really good project managers and things like that. Joe Rohde's design aesthetic, his fingerprints are all over everything he's done, and you can almost always go, I'll bet Joe had something to do with that. You can look Animal Kingdom everywhere, but also things like the Adventurers Club and other projects that he's involved with. You're like, I can see that that's Joe Rohde, right? There's a certain global travel element in a lot of these things, like the Adventurers Club, a sort of eclectic look.
Maelstrom.
Right, Maelstrom, obviously Expedition Everest.
Yeah. Anything in Animal Kingdom, pretty much.
Anything in Animal Kingdom. So if you ask a normal Disney fan today, like who they know who they've seen that's an Imagineer, they're going to say Joe Rohde is going to be right at the top of the list, right? He was, especially when they first started really having Imagineers front and center on TV specials and things like that. He's the guy. He's obviously very distinctive looking.
The
guy
earring,
with the earring.
Yeah, I mean the earring made him stand out.
And he's great on camera.
You never if you've been to a Joe Rohde presentation, you never forget. I think Joe is the best public speaker that's ever come out of WDW. I think he's the best at relaying to people the process and what the thought process is, how you arrive at a conclusion, how a project takes shape, why it takes shape in a certain way. He's the most eloquent and the best at in putting in layman's terms how everything works.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I've said this before. I think Pandora and some things that came about of what might be a dark period in WDI, I think we're able to squeeze through because I think as an executive, you sit in a meeting with Joe Rohde and you would probably feel real dumb to go against whatever Joe Rohde tells you the project needs. If Joe Rohde tells you this is important to the project because it explains this, or are you going to be that executive in that boardroom that says, well, we don't really want to spend the money on that? When there's someone that respected that tells you artistically why there is a necessity, you don't even if you're Bob Chapek, you don't want to be the guy that says like, oh, I don't know, that's a smart investment.
Joe was also involved in Alani.
Yeah,
very deeply involved in that. He worked on Captain EO.
Mission Breakout. Yeah,
Mission
EO,
Breakout,
EO, Maelstrom, and Adventurers Club are his late '80s things. But by the way, they're already talking about Animal Kingdom at that time. So he had that on the back burner, just kind of waiting for them to put the green light on Animal Kingdom. He's working on all those projects.
Yeah, obviously Pandora, World of Avatar.
Yeah.
That was a thing that I think a lot of people were kind of making fun of it before it happened.
Kind of.
Or really making fun of it before it happened. And then you went in and I think most people were kind of blown away by that.
They pulled it off. And same thing with Mission Breakout. Both of those projects, what's amazing, those both opened on the same day. And there were incredible parallels where both projects were announced and people went, huh? Yeah. And Joe was involved in both. And we get to that day and both of those open to incredible rave reviews. Now, fundamentally, completely different projects. One is a massive multi-acre expansion of a theme park, and the other is an overlay of one of the most famous theme park attractions of all time, removing the theme that it's known for and putting something very, very different in its place. But the parallels are that, again, they were both projects that were heavily lambasted on the internet and got to opening day, and people were like, yeah, they did it. I didn't think so, but they did it.
He was also, I didn't know this, he was the lead developer on Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. So
that was his last project.
And I've been there, and I think I can see some of his style in there.
The cultural elements.
Especially the incorporation of the cultural elements of that island.
Because that's what he did with Alani and Animal Kingdom. So I guess, towards the end of his time at Disney as a full-time person, they were like, well, this is the guy. If we have to respect this culture and feature it, there is no one better to creatively lead this than Joe.
I think if you talk about Imagineers who had an artistic style that was very impactful throughout the company, you have to talk about Mary Blair next.
Yeah.
Right? Mary Blair.
We're just talking about
I'm doing
right?
going through some top nominees and I'm going to have to narrow them down, I think, is the best way to do it.
Yeah, Mary wasn't at WED for a very long time, but it's undoubted. I mean, still to this day, they're literally making things in her style. They tout it. There's a Mary Blair style playground coming to the animation building based on her concept art for Alice in Wonderland.
Her style is so iconic that it just persists in everything you see. It's like it just has survived almost anything, any other artistic style out there. That it's
Yeah.
the most distinctly Disney artistic style I think there is.
It's a shame because it belongs to her, that style, but she did so many things of tremendous cultural impact with Disney that it's intrinsically connected to the company, sometimes more than her. But thankfully, in the last 15 years or so, she's been so globally recognized that the world knows, almost everyone who should know the name in this world knows it and is aware of her style and her accomplishments.
Look, it's a small world. There, how many in the world now? How many of them?
There's five of
five of them.
Yeah.
It has outlived anything else, just about. And
Yeah.
she's such an important part of the company. And it's important to point out some of these people, including Mary Blair, they weren't always with Imagineering, right? Or
No.
WED. They were doing other projects. They were, some of these people were animators on feature films.
They
Some of
worked
these
for
people
other
were involved in
studios.
other studios, right? So
Yeah, Harper Goff. I mean, what an incredible career! Including after he left Disney, he, the look of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, one of
Correct.
the most famous films of all time. That's Harper Goff.
he helped create the U.S. Army's camouflage.
Did he really?
They brought him in to help them figure out camouflage.
even
So
know
that.
that.
was during World War II. He was an advisor to the U.S. Army on camouflage, picking the colors and the shades and all that kind of stuff,
An
including
incredible
on naval
man.
ships.
Incredible man.
Yeah, he had an incredible career. If you look at some of the stuff he did,
I mean, 20,000 Leagues, we talk about, I'm not going to bore people. Come on the museum tour if you want me to bore you about the Nautilus and Harper Goff.
yeah.
But
But you talk about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That's Harper Goff.
Yeah.
And the Jungle Cruise.
yeah.
Right? He anything from Willy
He's
Wonka
the father
to
of
the
the
Jungle,
Jungle
Cruise.
Cruise.
He was incredible. He was a set designer on Casablanca. Mm-hmm. He was all the way to Willy Wonka, all kinds of stuff.
Casablanca, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. If we don't list another credit of Harper Goff, those are three of the most influential films in the history of cinema. All three of those changed movies forever. The man was incredible. But truly, I mean, in the short time he was at WED, he did a lot of amazing things, but I just think, like Mary, he wasn't there long enough.
Right. He had so much in his career that predated really Disneyland. They did name the Harper's Mill at Tom Sawyer Island after him.
And he has a door. There's a door at Skipper Canteen. He has a lot of Jungle Cruise
He's
references. and
such an
rightfully
important
so.
part of the company.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, just looking through, I was like, didn't want to miss anyone. I just Googled like Disney Imagineers. Wikipedia list, this would be controversial, that I would not consider Imagineers, but they're on the list, the Sherman Brothers, which would be, they worked very closely with WDI throughout their careers. I would not consider them Imagineers, so they'd have to take up two spots.
That's like Walt Disney. They're
Yeah.
kind of like honorary, but we're not going to, like Walt, in many cases should be on this Mount Rushmore, but he's the founder. He's not an Imagineer. That doesn't count.
Another one I'm really into is Blaine Gibson.
Yeah.
Right. So Blaine Gibson did so much stuff, and you listen to this resume. This is in addition to all his studio work and other things he did in his life. Enchanted Tiki Room, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Haunted Mansion, Country Bear Jamboree, America Sings, all the presidents for the Hall of Presidents, up to like George W. Bush.
The most talented sculptor of modern times is what I would say, but I know we're biased because we're Disney people, but
He could do anything. And did he not also do like the Partners statue?
Yeah.
And yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, he's everywhere.
yeah.
Oh yeah, because we look at later. He did he did Partners. He did the Minnie Matt Roy and Minnie statue, right?
Yeah.
Did he not? So, there it is. It's called Sharing the Magic. Roy O. Disney and Minnie
Where
Mouse
they're
sitting on the park bench.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a tough legacy to live up to as well. I mean, how do we pick?
I want to point something out though with Blaine. I know a bunch of them said when Blaine was working on that, Blaine himself, I believe, said that Walt wouldn't even want a statue of himself, which is the argument about the animatronic.
Right.
But they still did it. Like Blaine, who knew him, still did it. So, we could argue about should the animatronic have been made or not, but literally the men that worked with him like broke their promise to make the partner statue. If that promise is true,
Yeah, who knows?
they broke their promise on the partner statue. It wasn't just an animatronic. They just believed the man. The man was not, a narcissist. The man loved his work and his company and what he could give the world. He did not want to talk about himself. And so he wouldn't have wanted a statue of himself as much as he wouldn't have wanted an animatronic.
But you have to understand that Walt's vision of himself is limited to his own lifetime.
Yeah.
He had no way of knowing that he was going to grow to be one of those impactful people in the history of the world.
I think
Right?
he knew by 1966, on his deathbed, that man knew what he was to the world. Could he have imagined how much further the company would go? Possibly not, but
I mean,
there is
could
no
you imagine
doubt.
there'd be Disney parks in Shanghai and Hong Kong and Tokyo?
Maybe
and
because the
Paris?
man was literally designing on the ceiling tiles a city of the future that people would live in. So like at that point, he really could do like there was no ceiling.
I don't think there's any way for him to have predicted the impact that he would have generations later.
Yeah, that's fair.
that is worthy of a statue. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I realize, look, anybody living, most people living, probably wouldn't want a statue of themselves, but when their accomplishments outlive them by such a great degree, I mean, you have to do it. It had to be there. All right, Yale Gracie, what do you think?
Not Mount Rushmore, but incredibly important person.
Yeah, I mean, he worked on Pirates, Haunted Mansion, Master Gracie. He's Master Gracie. It's like-
Name, yeah.
It's a hard one, maybe not. Okay, now here's a clear one. There's only one I think that everybody would agree is on Mount Rushmore. It's got to be Mark Davis.
Mark
I don't
is
even
my
know
first.
where to start.
So here's what I always say to preface Mark Davis, and then I'll let you read some of Mark's included. Mark is the only person who's gotten a book like just about their time at WED, by the way, and it's giant. It's Mark Davis Goes to WED. The funniest thing about growing up with the parks and becoming a fan and reading about the development is you're like, oh, I'm like growing up. I love Disney and these are all the creation of Walt Disney. I love all these things. And then you grow up and I realize like, man, but the things I love the most are mostly attributed to one Imagineer. And it's Mark Davis. Like I realize I'm technically a bigger fan of Mark Davis than I am of Walter Elias Disney. Because Mark, like everything of my childhood except Figment, but Tony was his protege, so he sat under that learning tree, so the connection is even there. Mark, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, the funny aspects of the Jungle Cruise that make the Jungle Cruise what it is today, which is Mark's idea. It's Mark's vibe that he created with those scenes of comedy. Country Bears.
It goes on.
It goes on and on and on. These characters are these scenes, these vignettes, these characters, these rides are a Tiki Room. These are all, he doesn't get enough credit for Tiki Room. He was way more involved in that than people think. And a lot of the art in there wasn't just Raleigh's. A lot of it was Mark's. Raleigh gets a lot of the credit. Like I realize like I'm just a big Mark Davis fan. Like everything he contributed are my favorite things ever. So clearly I gelled with that man's creativity.
He did not come on board with WED until after Sleeping Beauty was in the
Early
can.
1960s.
Right.
Yeah.
So prior to his impact at WED, here are some characters that he designed and animated. Snow White, Bambi, Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, Brer Bear, Bongo, the butterfly, Mr. Toad, Cinderella, Prince Charming, the King, the Grand Duke, Alice from Alice in Wonderland, Tinkerbell, Aurora, Maleficent, Cruella de Vil. These are all created by Mark Davis before he joined WED. Think about the impact he had. He was already a Disney legend before he started at WED, right? Then he gets to WED. What's
He
do?
literally makes the Jungle Cruise what you and I know it as. It
Right.
was a serious ride. It was meant to be like an e-ticket, like Indiana Jones or Matterhorn or any of those things. He makes it what we consider the Jungle Cruise.
Right. So here are like projects that he had really significant parts in: The Jungle Cruise, Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, The Enchanted Tiki Room, Ford's Magic Skyway, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, The Carousel of Progress,
Yeah.
It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Haunted Mansion, The Country Bear Jamboree, America Sings, World of Motion, and of course the Western River Expedition, which was never built. You could build a great theme park that just has his stuff on it. It would be one of the best theme parks in the world.
They did. It's called Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, basically. Basically.
I mean, truly, like, he wasn't there when Disneyland opened, but what would Magic Kingdom have been without Mark Davis? Like, he's the Walt Disney World. I mean, Small World completely morphed for Walt Disney World. Say what you will about the facade, but the interior is I love our actual ride. It's wonderful. I think it's a great improvement over the original. Just everything here is so special. All the scenes he added to the Mine Train through Nature's Wonderland.
He had a gift to tell a story in a quick look, right? You're passing by something. How quickly can he tell a story? And he could tell a story in an instant with the way he set these scenes up.
He was master of staging and master of comedy.
I always bring up the jail scene at Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's perfect. It's a perfect scene. You see the motivation of the people to try to get the dog. You understand why the dog is a little trepidatious about giving them the keys and taking the bone. Like, you understand a million things in a single glance, and he had that gift. Maybe no one else has ever had that gift.
I'm going to controversially bring up my favorite scene.
Oh no,
the auction.
Yeah,
it's the auction scene. There's a reason. Walt Disney One Man's Dream, an incredible film. Go watch the original version at Hollywood Studios. In that finale montage, you have that uplifting music as you look back at his career. What is several moments of that finale is watching guests go past that auction scene. It cannot be stressed enough how integral to that attraction that scene was. We wants the redhead, probably the most iconic line of any attraction ever, and we've lost it forever. And I understand. Times change. I get that. I don't think what replaced it is very strong. It's not very memorable. I have never heard a single human quote anything from that current version of that
your clucking.
Scene.
We quote that jokingly.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of
I hate that scene with every fiber of my being. And then the dog's like the dialogue, that scene is so strong that the dialogue doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
In the
don't
jail
need
cell. No. It's the gag is you see them all. And Jungle Cruise, he didn't have dialogue to play with. Those are animals. They had to be. His characters are so expressive. Think about the pigs in Pirates of the Caribbean. The faces on them, they're so expressive, and they're just the most wonderful little characters. I love all.
I think that much. Dog scene completes the story really on that. Like, there are other scenes after that, right? That some have been added and some are at Disneyland.
Depends which one.
It's longer. But I feel like what you see the whole time is these pirates. It's sort of a lighthearted look at piracy. But what you see from the dog is like, these people are not to be trusted, because you know who's really good at knowing who shouldn't be trusted? A dog. Yeah. And I think that's a sort of thing. I wondered, we talked about it in our panel the other day. I wondered, from the time I was 2 years old, why didn't a dog want the bone? And the implicit thing you understand is just as part of human nature is because pirates can't be trusted. Because we might have just looked at a bunch of lighthearted stuff that pirates are doing, but pirates are not to be trusted.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't enough to overcome the controversial auction scene.
Yeah.
But dogs know that auctioning people off is wrong. And they know you shouldn't give rum to a cat. They know you shouldn't chase women around the village. Dogs know that.
Is it any better that the woman with the Irish accent is yelling about everyone wanting rum? Are we any better as a society if that's the thing we're like, that's okay? The part about like evil, despicable men auctioning people, that's the part that's the problem. But you know what? Like people being, fulfilling the stereotype of Irish people liking alcohol, that's okay. Like one doesn't fix the other.
I don't think that's the takeaway from that scene, but I understand what you're saying.
But like, she has a very profound Irish accent.
Red hair.
That could have chosen not to do that. She's a pirate now. Yeah, she's really a pirate. That's not a scene of female empowerment. It already kind of was. But like her being like, they don't want that, they want rum. That doesn't make her like important to the journey.
Right.
As opposed to before where it was like, she's like, this awful thing's happening. I'm going to find my way out of this situation.
Well, a really good thing and a really bad thing happened with that attraction, which is the good thing is that it was so indelible with people that they made a multi-billion-dollar movie franchise out of an attraction. The bad part is that it became so popular that they had to sort of scrub it down a little bit, right? They have to make it more easier to swallow for a broader audience.
That happened before the movie. 1997 is when they removed the men chasing the women.
Well, okay, yeah, they flip-flop
So like
who was chasing who.
the first scrub is 6 years before a movie. So it was already on the way. Mark Davis famously said it's not Boy Scouts of the Caribbean.
Right. And the humor there being not that pirates were chasing the women, it was to set up the fact that all these pirates are chasing women, and then you get to the last one, and it's an unattractive woman chasing the pirate. And she wasn't trying to run him off. She was trying to...
I don't know that I'd say unattractive. A heavy-set woman.
The implication was that the pirate wanted nothing to do with the woman.
Like the implication was she could overpower him.
That was the funny
beat the
part
hell
of
out
it,
of
yeah.
him. Yeah. But again, the ride is consistently about the pirates getting what they deserve. They're doing a bad thing, and throughout the ride, they pay for it. The city's burning to the ground. They're all drunk. Those guys are going to die in a fiery jail. Like, everything's going wrong.
Yeah.
Right? I mean...
That's a lot to say that, Mark Davis is really good at what he did.
The best.
His wife, Alice, should be mentioned at the very least.
Yeah.
Alice, mostly known for costumes on It's a Small World, helping with Mary Blair, but also
Pirates.
Pirates. But more importantly, I think Alice kind of created the workflow for how they create costuming for audio animatronics, how they maintain them, how they replace them, how they are, that they still use that today. The workflows that she created in that shop are still in use today on how to clothe animatronics.
Was it Pirates? I forget which attraction it was where they destroyed the first set of clothes. Something happened in the ride, and the first set of clothes were destroyed, and they thought they were going to have to delay the opening of the attraction. And she goes, "No, I made second and third sets."
Yeah.
And then Walt was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah," or whoever.
Yeah.
It was like, and she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "They're going to wear out, right?" And so she was that forward thinking. Alice doesn't get enough credit for everything she contributed. But again, another person that maybe wasn't there forever, and it's hard to put on the Mount Rushmore, but still an indelible mark left on the industry.
There are a lot of female Imagineers that had a very big impact on the company, but a lot of them that best are early ones that were involved in other things before they were involved in WED. So,
you know who's number one on my female Imagineer list? Harriet Burns.
Harriet Burns. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Harriet?
She worked in the model shop. An incredibly, incredibly talented woman who also always was impeccably dressed. That's the thing everyone always says. And if any photo you ever see of her, the most just exquisite outfits. She was, the hair always perfect. And then beyond that, at the same time, one of the most talented artists you will ever see, period. Man or woman, doesn't matter. I wish she had done a little more so I could easily put her on the Mount Rushmore. I wish that so much because she's a real idol of mine. I love her so much.
Yeah. I guess since we talk about Mark Davis, we could talk about Tony Baxter next.
And just write him down already.
Yeah.
Just write him down.
Do you want to talk about him?
So the second generation of Imagineers were very lucky they got to sit under that learning tree. So Tony Baxter, your Tim Delaney's, your Eddie Sato's, your Tom Morris's, Joe Rohde's, on and on and on, and Paul and Jason and several of those. Paul was a little bit earlier. Some of the people we know, Eric Jacobson, et cetera, all got to sit under a learning tree of these people were still around. And I think they benefited greatly from that. And I think what also they benefited from was the growth of the company and the advances in technology. And they were able to take what they learned and push the envelope further, with that strong foundation. And Tony was the first one, I think, from the second generation to push through.
And really, as big a legendary figure as he is, and I've seen it. We saw him at Disneyland just a couple weeks ago. Disneyland Paris, he's like royalty.
I mean, that's his park, and it is undoubtedly the best castle park ever built. There is no doubt. It is beautiful. The attractions are unbelievable. They are the premier versions of the most. We just mentioned Mark Davis's career, like Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion. The most elaborate, exquisite, and the premier versions of those attractions are it could be argued, but they're at Disneyland Paris. That's where they are. So there's no doubt that this group, a Big Thunder, I mean, an iconic attraction, that's a Tony Baxter creation, but the most elaborate and premier version of that attraction exists in Disneyland Paris.
Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Star Tour, Splash Mountain, Indiana Jones Adventure, Journey into Imagination, the good one.
The original.
Like really, like just a list of like big hits all along. And he, Fantasyland, the remodeled Fantasyland.
83,
Yeah. I mean, look at all these things. Finding Nemo submarine voyage, like he's got a great portfolio.
He sprinkled a lot of magic on many things later in his career. The revitalization of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln in 2009.
Tomorrowland in 98.
He probably wants you to forget that one.
It's not all his fault.
Famously, he's I give him a load of credit. He's taken some of the blame for that. He said in an interview I listened to, he said, I wish I had pushed to spend the budget we had on just a new e-ticket instead of on an entire land.
Yeah.
And so maybe he could have convinced them, right? I mean, the rest of that project was, and talk about train wreck. Train wreck is not the word for Disneyland's 1998 New Tomorrowland. But yeah, that begins kind of the wind down for him. But thankfully, at the very end of his career at Disney, he had a lot of very meaningful small projects. The revitalization of the Sleeping Beauty Castle walkthrough, which is in a magnificent iteration that exists today. So Tony still did a lot of great stuff even after those missteps during the darkest of times in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Did he ever kind of make up with Mark Davis that had a sort of breaking of faith when I think was it Big Thunder basically going in instead of Western River?
So Tony worked under Mark, and Mark envisioned the Western River Expedition. It was more than just a single attraction. It was a whole area of Walt Disney World's Frontierland that didn't happen. Part of that, on the mountain structure, there would be a runaway train ride. Tony was primarily involved in the runaway train ride. There is, depending who you talk to, there's a story where one day, the first thing that happened is there are interesting versions of the art that exists where you have the building for Western River, and then out to the side, you have Big Thunder. And part of that is, like, at that point, it becomes much easier to separate the projects. And so I think eventually Mark walked in one day and Tony had a standalone version of Big Thunder. And Mark felt betrayed, and management went for that because it was cheaper. And Mark felt very betrayed by that. And that began the wind down of Mark's career at WED. He departed, for the most part, not long after that. He kind of worked on World of Motion, at least for a little bit. Mark hung around, though. So Mark went to Disneyland Paris when it opened and famously said the grudge couldn't have been that great because Mark said that the version of Pirates of the Caribbean there was perfect. He loved it. He thought we finally got it right. And so look, whether Mark had professional disagreements with Tony, there was a respect amongst artists, I believe. Now, I know if they fully made up or not? I mean, I think you'd have to ask Tony Baxter that question.
Right.
But I think Mark held a lot of resentment for many things in his career that he probably took with him to the grave.
We have one remaining sort of Gen 1 Imagineer, Bob Gurr, that we'd have to at least
You're missing
mention.
a huge one. John Hench.
He's on here.
You didn't bring him up. You just said we have one last original. John Hench
Talk
is
about
original.
one last living.
Oh, one last
original,
living.
yeah.
Okay, you're scaring me that we're not going to talk about John Hench.
Bob Gurr, who really did a lot of the vehicle stuff. He was he designed a ride vehicle for the Matterhorn. A lot of those vehicles on Main Street, the monorail, the Autopia,
Haunted Mansion Doom Buggy.
Doom buggies. What was the
monorail?
What was the thing that was like a bus turned into the Viewliner?
Yeah, the Train of Tomorrow.
Yeah, Train of Tomorrow. That didn't last long.
That's like a year.
But he was an expert at figuring out how to make these vehicles that people wanted. Usually find something off the street, strip it down, and build something totally new around it, right? Bob Gurr, still around, still very, very willing to talk about all of his time in Imagineering and all the things he's done. Many people have gotten a chance to meet him. He is that connective piece to Walt Disney that still exists.
And he doesn't like me.
That's great. Claude Coates.
I have to explain that people are
Okay.
going to ask, so let me just quickly get it out of the way. So in the 2010s, Bob Gurr famously stated at some interview that Walt Disney World had ordered new monorails.
I remember that.
I happen to have sources very close to that who made it clear to me we have not ordered new monorails, nor is there any plan to order new monorails. So I had to come out and say, this was not said in any disrespectful manner whatsoever. We wrote a piece where we said, obviously Bob Gurr's a Disney legend. We love and respect Bob Gurr very much. But the truth of the matter is at that time, maybe less so than today even, he was not very much ingrained in the Walt Disney Company. He's not part of it. There was a point at which Bob was trespassed from the parks, actually, for a little while. And I said he wouldn't be privy to know this information, and it's just simply not true. And Bob very famously said that I was a nasty bloggist for saying this. So that's the thing that happened. And I've never spoke to Bob since. I don't know if that has...
No, look, there's a lot of he's still out
Subsided.
there in the community everywhere.
I love
You
that
see
he
him.
is. I
Yeah.
think it's great that so many people get to for a moment have that connection to Walt. I think he's an incredibly talented and wonderful man. It was not meant with malice. It's simply reporting the facts. That's all we were doing, and I hope he understands that. But we are invited to the premiere of his movie later this month, so
Yep. That'll be fun.
can't be that bad.
All right, so Claude Coates. I mean, his filmography, he's kind of like Mark Davis. His filmography is almost as impressive as his, maybe more impressive than his Imagineering accomplishments, right? He was a background painter, really a master artist.
Yeah.
He did film work at Mickey's Fire Brigade, Pluto's Judgment, like really old stuff, Silly Symphony stuff. And then came on Imagineering in 55. Onto WED, and he was one of the art directors for the original Disneyland. He was working with people like Mary Blair on the Carousel of Progress, and that it's a small world in these things. Here's some things he worked on. Let me go. His filmography is super long, right? We get to Imagineering: Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Rainbow Caverns Mine Train, Alice in Wonderland, Grand Canyon Diorama, Submarine Voyage, Ford Magic Skyway, Carousel of Progress, It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, Adventure Through Inner Space, Haunted Mansion, Snow White's Scary Adventures, Mickey Mouse Review, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, If You Had Wings, Universe of Energy, World of Motion, and Horizons, by the way.
I love that several of them stayed on to finish Epcot out of commitment to Walt, how much they loved and respected their former boss, that they all felt like they had to carry that through for him. And I love that for a lot of them, that was the cap on the end of it, what is incredible, indelible careers. And they ended with Horizons and World of Motion and Universe Energy. And that it brings me great joy.
Look at that. The World of Motion, you had Ward Kimball and Claude Coates
Mark Davis.
and Mark Davis working in the
At
1980s.
any point, yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You mentioned Rolly Crump. Obviously, direct line to Walt. He just passed away. A couple years ago.
Yeah.
He was 93 years old when he passed away. So he hung around for a long time. Obviously, he worked on a lot of that 64 World's Fair stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what didn't he work on? His Wikipedia page doesn't have a ton of information on things he worked on. We know he worked on the Tiki Room. We know he worked on Haunted Mansion, Adventureland Bazaar. I know that he also worked on, it's not listed here, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride at the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
We hope that the piece from that ride that we have in our studio might have been painted by him.
It's definitely in his style.
It's in his
that
style.
attraction was all in his style.
Really a well-rounded talent, really artistic, but also was able to understand sort of motion and relationship of objects. So I think he's worthy of mentioning in here and talking.
Yeah, Bram said it. Nobody got along on World of Motion. World of Motion had, I think, of any of the Epcot Center attractions, the most tumultuous development, which is crazy because the first one being developed because GM signed on first. But yeah, Mark was on it for a bit, and then Ward and a bunch of people. It's just a weird, like very tumultuous, but a good product came of it. They pulled it out.
John Hench. Yeah. He, such a talented man, involved in so many things. And this is, again, some films like Fantasia, Dumbo, Three Caballeros, on and on and on and on. And then gets to, really the original Tomorrowland he worked on. This basically just says he worked on Walt Disney World, Epcot, and Tokyo Disneyland.
Father of Space Mountain.
Father of Space Mountain.
John's impact on things that aren't even listed, because John was like the continuing spirit of Walt in the building. He was like, people felt he was the strongest connection without a name Disney. John was just, he led the way for everybody. He maintained the mission and the quality, and I think he was a good mentor to so many people. There are so many Imagineers we've had here that worked in the 80s and even 90s who talk about John Hench with such reverence for what he did for their careers. You could read a list of attractions and you'd be doing a disservice to John.
Yeah. Also, he did the Olympic torch for the 1960 Olympics.
He did. I mean, an incredible career. You better write his name down. John has to be in the conversation. He has to be.
Exitensio.
Not Rushmore material, but man, if it wasn't for him, like tying Pirates and Mansion together with dialogue and music,
well,
would
you
they
talk about
be
most
what they are
iconic lines.
now?
When you said the most iconic lines, we want the redhead. What about Yo Ho, Pirate's Life for Me? What about Grim Grinning Ghosts? What about Dead Men Tell No Tales?
Yeah.
Like,
They're all his.
that was his creation, right? And I think you have to consider that, right? He did some voiceover work for Submarine Voyage. Look, I know there's more. Yeah, Exitensio. Obviously, that's a name you always hear come up.
But like literally the two most famous Disney attractions of all time, Mansion and Pirates, would not be what they are without him. Your cadaverous pallor betrays an aura of foreboding. Can you imagine Haunted Mansion without that? Who else could come up with that's incredible.
You feel scared.
I think that's what the Universal ride would say. Yeah. Move that vehicle. Eat asphalt. Yeah, and the great tradition of your cadaverous pallor betrays an aura of foreboding.
There are many more. I have Leota Toombs on here only because she's an iconic figure.
Worth a mention.
She's
These
worth a mention.
people are all
She's a
so
Disney
legendary
legend.
and so important. They're not. Mount Rushmore can only be 4 people, which is a tremendous disservice to all these names we're mentioning.
Mm-hmm. She was a contributor on Pirates, on Tiki Room, and on Country Bear Jamboree. Though I feel like that's an important one.
Yeah.
I want to mention it. We are definitely leaving people out.
Oh, tons.
There are dozens and dozens
Tons
of
and
these
tons.
amazing men. Look, so many of these people that we know and love have worked on so many things that we know and love. It's hard to compete against the sort of historical advantage that some of these early Imagineers
And the names you haven't heard, like there are people who've been there for 30, 40 years. Your Zolt Hormez, who like all the rock work from Big Thunder to today, without that man would maybe not be what it is. And think about how important those human-made monuments are in the parks, how defining those moments are in the parks. There's obviously people that have worked in in the music department for decades, and how much they mean to the project. There's so many important people that worked in R&D, and there are so many people important to the process who just either we will miss or their name is not really out there or whatever the case may be. But so many people have contributed to the splendor of these places that either you'll never know about or you'll forget about in any given moment. But it doesn't mean they weren't severely important.
There can only be 4 on the mountain, though.
Yeah.
And I think that 2 have to be Mark Davis and Tony Baxter. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about the rest of them? Yep. We have people have written down Joe Rohde, Blaine Gibson, Harriet Burns, John Hench. Obviously, there's more than that.
And Harriet again is another one where I wish we could, but I just don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think we're in top 4. I wish and pray we could, but unfortunately, I think it's going to be all male. I hope that can change. Like perhaps there is, down the road, someone who will become as indelible.
I think a lot of those people also in the early days, it's fair to say that a lot of them were probably pushed out of the spotlight. Some of them probably did contribute more than we know.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful how much all of the people we just named from the original era talk about Harriet and Mary. and gave them that spotlight, if not at the time, at least later in life. I think that's pretty wonderful.
Mary could
Or
be,
Alice Davis, too.
Mary could be on Mount Rushmore still. I haven't ruled her out.
Mary Blair is on an art Mount Rushmore that is unrelated to Walt Disney Imagineering.
Yeah.
Right? There is a whole different Mount Rushmore. She's probably on several. I don't think she gets this one.
Okay.
I don't think she was there
Is
long
Joe
enough.
Rhodey on there?
I think he has.
I
I
think
think we
Joe's on
cover
there.
a lot of generations if we go Mark,
Tony.
Tony, and Joe.
Joe.
I think we cover a lot of, like that makes sense as a Mount Rushmore. You cover a lot of time. So those three, I think so.
Yeah. Now it gets tough.
Well, who's I think.
Well, I didn't write down everybody.
I'm leaning
we're
to John. I'm leaning John Hench at that
John
point.
Hench. Okay, well, let me read you
has
some. We have Mary Blair, we have Blaine Gibson, Yale Gracie, Mark Davis, Tony Baxter, Bob Gurr, Eddie Sato. We didn't talk about Eddie Sato. He's very well known in Paris.
They're incredible. Him
he's-
and Tim Delaney, Eddie, Tom.
yeah.
Those guys are incredible.
Yeah.
But they fall just below Tony. They were below him on the project, and I think they're Disneyland Paris Mount Rushmore. It's the three of them and Tony. So
yeah.
But also they share that spotlight with the Burks and several other people who were instrumental in that part.
So you could say John Hench or Rolly Crump. We didn't really get too deep into Rolly's accomplishments. He was kind of everywhere. But I think he was in the company, out of the company, in the company, out of the company.
I think he's just outside the four. If there was room for a fifth,
Yeah.
maybe Raleigh's face.
Yeah.
I'm leaning. Who else do you have written?
John
there?
Hench, you said. I have Mary Blair, Blaine Gibson.
My vote's John.
I
but if
also
you wanna
Harper
discuss,
Goff is
we
a big one for me, but also like there was so much.
The thing
else
is,
that
again,
Harper
like
Goff accomplished. That
he
was
is on the
artist.
set
Yeah.
set designer artist, like for movie history, like
Yeah.
all time cinema, which is like not to be that guy, but there's a lot more people fighting for that Mount Rushmore, and he's on it.
Yeah.
So good for
So we're putting John
Harper.
Hench on then.
Huh?
We're putting so it's
I think
Joe
it has
Rhodey,
to
Mark
be
Davis,
John.
Tony Baxter, John.
I
Hench.
think even if you want to go in the order, it's
Let me ask the
John.
Whigs. What are they
it's
saying?
John and Mark and Tony and Joe. I think those have to be the four. I think they have to be.
Yeah, I'm just looking. The Whigs are joining us live, by the way. If you want to be a Whigs member, you can watch
You didn't
us do
mention,
this
yeah,
live.
you didn't mention Kim Irvine. Kim had a very, very long and illustrious career, but I don't know that she's quite here.
If you want to join us live for stuff while we record this, you go to www.nt.com/Patreon or patreon.com/WDWNT. You can learn how you can become a Wigs member for as little as $2 a month. Benefits include discounts, early access. So the Gertie that we launched, we gave them 24-hour head start on everybody else in the general public. to buy
Sometimes
that. So
it didn't matter this time because, again, like they're available still. But when we did the Sunny Eclipse plush, which is, by the way, finally shipping in 1 to 2 weeks, very excited about that. You can still pre-order right now.
there's a few left.
The collector's edition sold out completely to Wigs.
Yeah.
So if you were not a Wigs member, you did not get the limited edition 150 collector's edition. So it happens. It does happen.
Well, there you have it. We've picked
Oh, so
our four.
that's it. You
picked our
didn't
four.
put up a fight, man. You just went with it.
I'm not going to argue. I mean, the thing is that all of these people bring something to the table, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
people we've never heard of that have probably been as deeply involved in these projects as others.
I think a couple episodes from now we should do underrated Imagineers. I think that would
Yeah.
be a fun because there's so many. Kevin Rafferty wasn't brought up today, and
Yeah.
Kevin had an incredible career.
Tom Fitzgerald,
Eric Jacobson,
prolific
Tom
career.
Fitzgerald, Kim Irvine, like we just said. So many people. There's so many people to talk about. And hopefully we can get them on an event at some point or on this podcast because I'd love to talk more with these people that we've never gotten to hear their story.
And there you have it. We've picked our four. You can argue about it.
Yeah.
I'm open to changing my mind. I'm horrified to think that we left out major people, but I'm positive we left out some people that are deserving of consideration. And you can let
Bob
us know in the comments.
Weiss. We mentioned Bob Weiss several
Yeah.
times. I think we forget because he
Marty
was
Sklar.
president. Yeah, same with Marty. Like they were president, but I mean Bob had a good career before he was president too, and John was president of WED as well.
Yeah.
That's why I think John Hench makes a lot of sense. But yeah, Bob Weiss would be in the conversation too.
Sure. Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today.
We're gonna eat
leave
more
a like
cheese
and a subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And we appreciate if you sat through us eating food and talking about eating food or about bizarre restaurant experiences. We appreciate you still being here. And we'll see you next time on the WDW News Today podcast.
We'll see you real soon.